All right. Thank you, everyone. It's 2 minutes past the hour. This is Nitin Chawla, Product Manager for SHUKLA Medical. I'd like to get started and discuss the Spine V2 inventory launch. Again, I wanted to just remind everyone that because we typically have a lot of background noise, I've muted everyone's line. You can feel free to text me directly or text me on GoToMeeting if you have any questions in between the presentation. But if possible, please hold your questions towards the end. We'll have plenty of time to cover any questions any of you may have on the launch of the Spine V2 system. With that said, let's get started and go through the PowerPoint presentation. We're going through the agenda of today's discussion. In summary, we're going to talk about the launch buzz that we created, key features of the upgrade, Spine V2 versus the V1, which is the original Spine. This is now the second generation of Spine. Discuss the unique helicopter sockets, which I'm sure some of you or many of you must have already heard about in emails and discussions of the first cases we've done so far. Then discuss the differentiation of the Spine system, again, not just selling the capital, but also providing service with it. Lastly, pricing and competition. Okay. With that said, let's talk about the buzz. We've released several press releases in Orthopedics This Week, Becker Spine Review, Orthopedics Today, and even put out an ad in Orthopedics This Month magazine that went out to 6,000 spine surgeons, and all of them received them before the NASS conference. We also produced and released a NASS launch video, in which we went over the system upgrades and the features of it in a short 3-minute video. To start the presentation, I'm going to show that video. If you haven't watched it, it's a quick 3-minute way to go through the whole system, and I would encourage you to go to a website or go to our YouTube channel and share that video with your customers because it really shows the differences very quickly. So with that said, I'm going to quickly play the video, and after which we'll go into details of each of these features of the Spine system.
Hello, my name is Nitin Chawla. I'm a product manager for SHUKLA Medical. And we're here in Los Angeles, California at the biggest spine convention, NASS 2018. And today we're introducing a new spine set, brand new upgrade to our existing extractile spine, where we're increasing the number of drivers and making a huge difference from what it currently existed as. Let me show you what that set looks like. So our current spine set includes about 79 different drivers and multiple standard and company-specific drivers. But our brand new set takes it to the next level. It basically, as you can see, splits from 1 tray to 2 trays because there's so many increases in number of drivers from about 79 to 132, a 47% increase. So we have a cervical set, and we also have a thoracic lumbar set. And beyond that, we also include 40 proprietary drivers. So you can see here a Corn, a DePuy, Moss Miami, Synthes, EBI, which is now Biomed Zimmer, Stryker, and multiple different names, over 40 different drivers there specifically covering the proprietary shapes that these companies offer. Beyond that, we also offer an instrument set that gives you extensions to connect to different lengths depending on what approach you're taking, whether that's posterior, anterior, or even lateral, giving a 12-inch extension on top of the 4-inch driver length there. We also offer rod grippers and a plier and T-handle for extra torque, inline handle, a breaker bar if you need to put more torque on it, some wrenches, and finally, something very innovative that didn't exist before in the market, which is called a helicopter socket. And some of you may be familiar with this technique, which is when you were in a construct that just won't come out, you can cut the rods on either end, put this over the pedicle screw, and then literally spin the whole construct right out. What's unique about SHUKLA Medical is we don't just sell capital, we sell service, and we talk and support our cases as well. And with that, we offer a brand new app that was launched a few months ago, and that is called the X-Ray Search Engine. X-Ray Search Engine is just like Google, but to be able to find implants and compatible drivers for it. So in this example, you can see a Medtronic Solera was picked out, and as soon as you type that into our database, it spits out basically what particular driver you need, what size it is, what implant and company it's compatible with, and where the location is in our spine set. We also offer x-rays for the actual set and basically comparable patients that have gone through this before, even a surgical technique guide, and as much information as we know about the implant, you may be able to take this out very easily. So there you have it, a brand new spine set launching at NASS 2018. Thank you.
All right, so again, as I said, if you haven't seen this video or haven't shared it with your customers, I would highly recommend it because it really goes through the system very quickly. Now let's go through the details of the new spine set. As you heard, we have over 130 drivers in the new spine system, split into cervical and TL systems. Our spine V1 set only had 79 drivers and came in one CTL system. It now has over 40 implant-specific configurations, which means that those proprietary drivers, Strykers, Zimmers, all these companies come out with, we now have over 40 of those. And the most important feature beyond having so many extra drivers is the innovative helicopter socket that we never had before. And really no one in the market has a socket like it. It's a simple tool. We're already in process of patenting it. And again, it really speeds up the time when you don't have another driver available. I can go through the details again. You can cut the rods and really take out any implant with it. So let's go into more details. What's the difference between the Spine V2, the S9 spine, or the original V1, Spine V1, that is, MKS 1031, the part number. So let's look at the differences. The new system, as I mentioned, in total has 132 drivers. 56 of them are in the cervical system, and 76 of them are in the TL system. And as compared to the MKS 1031, as said, only 37 were there in the cervical side, and TL had 52 in combined version of the 79 drivers that we had before, which is a 47% increase compared to its original system. A huge difference. There's also been multiple upgrades to the instrumentation, and again, we'll go a little more detail of them as well. Starting with the pliers that we had in there, we had a lot of complaints of it. It just wasn't robust enough, so we have really improved the design. We added a breaker bar, and I initially didn't believe we needed it, but after the first spine case, which I'll talk about in a little bit, I truly believe it's an important addition to have in there, having a breaker bar to really put the extra torque manually. Also, additional 12-inch extension that we didn't have before, an extra wrench, a power adapter, which I think is a good surprise. I know that a lot of spine surgeons are nervous, especially neurosurgeons, to use power in the system, but it definitely helps sometime as well. And finally, the helicopter sockets, which again, we'll talk more in detail of it. Let's talk about the differentiators. So number one, as I talked about the helicopter socket, it's really creating buzz. You know, we obviously have a lot more drivers, a lot more compatibility, but the helicopter sockets what really differentiates in this system. So what it is the helicopter socket is what it looks like right there on the screen, is a socket that really captures over the tulip of the pedicle screw. And given that you're able to cut the rods around the pedicle itself, the implant itself. We are working on an upgrade in the near future. We don't have a timeline yet, but we are working on an in-situ rod cutter to make it easier. But in the meantime, surgeons have multiple ways to cut the rods with rod cutters that are out there right now, or using surgical drill. They can cut the rod around the implant very close to it as possible, then put this socket on it, and then as you can see, put a T-handle or straight handle and extension and spin the whole construct right out without having to worry about the driver that may have stripped or you just don't have access to it. So the helicopter sockets come in 3 different sizes. They come in a small, medium, and large, and you can see the part numbers there. And again, what we recommend is that the surgeon cuts it as close to the pedicle screw as possible. I would say 2 to 5 millimeters on either end, and making sure that you don't have any tissue really catching onto it when you're putting the socket on and when you're spinning the whole construct out. And then you can simply figure out which size it is. These are reusable sockets. Put them on, either small, medium, large, put the extension, put the T-handle, and then spin it right out. So this is exactly what happened in the first case we ever did with it. This was in Tampa. We met with this surgeon at NASS, Dr. James St. Louis. He's the surgical founder of Laser Spine Institute. You might have heard or seen TV ads of it. A big shot doctor who basically invited us after we showed him the set at NASS. And so this is a brand new evaluation of the case. He's never used SHUKLA Medical before, first time using it. And his OR staff was also like, we don't really need all these drivers. You know, what's the point of it? We're good. We've been using our wrenches before. And so we got in the case. We had an idea this was a Zimmer system, but we don't know which particular one. He was using scopes, so he went in with his camera and fortunately was able to see the actual part number. I had him read the part number to me. We Googled it. We confirmed because UDI, Unique Device Identification, on the government website, that's the Zimmer Encompass. Unfortunately, because these drivers were still in production, we did not have the Zimmer Encompass on hand at that point. We didn't have the specialty version. We didn't have the Spine V2 version. So then it was the oh shit movement, and then we had to go to the backup plan. And so hence came in the helicopter socket in play. I asked Dr. St. Louis to go ahead and cut the rods in either end as close to the pedicle tulip as possible. He did exactly that. He figured out which size helicopter socket will fit on it. He put it on, he put the extension, and then they chose to start using the T-handle. And it wasn't enough force with the T-handle. So they asked for something more, and I said, wait, we have a breaker bar. They put the breaker bar on, and I could really hear the OR staff, the nurse that was helping with first assist, really going on it and really put a lot of force. And before you know it, he was able to spin it and pull the whole thing out. And the same OR staff in the morning who told me that we don't really need all these tools, his words, quote unquote, we need this helicopter socket in every case going forward. And also in the changing room afterward, Dr. St. Louis said, Nitin, that this was the most sophisticated supervision system I've ever seen, period. So very encouraging first case. Again, wish we had the Zimmer Encompass driver. Now we do in all of our systems going forward and in the standard Spine V2 set. But because of this helicopter socket, we had a backup plan. All of our extractile systems, as you know, in hips, knees, iron nails, always have a backup plan. This was another backup plan for us. Obviously, always have a screw, a broken strip removal set with you as well as a backup in your spine set removal set. But helicopter is now an additional option that wasn't there before and very unique to this brand new system. The X-ray search engine, I'm sure you've heard of it. We launched it last year at the National Sales Meeting 2017. It was really a start to a big beginning of differentiating and really creating service beyond capital, as I said. An X-ray search engine is really like Google, as you saw in part of the video, and we'll be putting out separate clips of this video so that you can share the short clips of just X-ray search engine as well. And I'm going to show you an example of it live on X-ray search engine, by the way. Last month and a half or two, Ashley from our marketing team has spent a lot of time building the database and adding the Spine version 2, V2 system into it. So a lot of work has been put into upgrading that system to reflect the brand new system in it. So now let's take a quick look at the example. Let's go to, in my case, I'm using the web browser, but obviously you can use this on your mobile phones as well. In this case, I searched the word TSRH, which is a Medtronic example. And in this example, you can see that once we typed in TSRH and press the search button, you'll see that you now see Spine V1 and Spine V2. You'll see the description. You'll see SHUKLA Medical Part Number, which now used to be MBT. Now it's SDR, standing for SHUKLA Driver. It now has the new location and the new system. And now we also added a brand new feature that didn't exist at least till this morning, is that we hyperlinked each of these systems. So when you click on the hyperlink, it takes you right to the system page. So if you had searched something on the iron nail, it'll load the iron nail page on SHUKLA Medical. If you obviously now search the spine system, it'll take you straight to the spine system page where you can quickly then get to the brochures, the video, the press releases. You can also do that obviously in the X Drive as well, which is a central place for all of our marketing collateral. And also this feature that you may or may not be familiar that we launched really at NASS is we have been spending a lot of hours collecting x-rays that are publicly available and matching it to the system names. So let's click on this. This really, when you click on more info, hyperlink, it'll take you to Google Drive, which is just the back end of it, where you can see the data we've loaded into it. And what have we loaded? We loaded x-rays of other patients that have had Medtronic TSRH in them. We've loaded videos actually also for what we find on YouTube, for example. If you find a YouTube video of a surgeon or someone explaining what TSRH does, we download it and we put it on here as well. We downloaded surgical technique guides from their website, are publicly available, so you can then share that with the surgeon to say, hey, surgeon, you know, you have the TSRH coming up. Please take a look at this hyperlink. It has everything you need to know about the implant. So again, a huge improvement. Obviously, this is publicly available data, but having it all in one place is extremely powerful for the X-ray search engine. So please keep that in mind. Use this often. Share the link. As you know, the link expires every 24 hours, but you can share it today and it'll expire tomorrow, but they'll be coming back to you for more. And again, now it has comparison between the first version of Spine and the second version of Spine as well. Going back to the presentation, we also are in works of launching a brand new technology or platform like the X-ray search engine called the XID. We actually submitted for trademark on XID as well. And our goal is to create a social community, such as maybe on Facebook or in near future, a dedicated app that allows you to send in the x-ray, especially for eye and nail, especially for spine, which is a big, big market. And there's thousands of competitors, thousands of implant companies out there, that the patient may not know what the implant they got put in 20 years ago. The surgeon may not be able to recognize that x-ray and who that implant is, but you can send that x-ray to us right now, and soon in a community, right from your phone or surgeon's phone, that will then each other will help each other identify the x-ray. And in near future, add the artificial intelligence piece of it with facial image recognition, that the artificial intelligence will recognize the image and compare it to other implants that it recognizes from other patients, x-rays that is. So once you know what that implant is, now you type that into the x-ray database, the search engine, and bam, you know what implant tool to use to take it out. And that's obviously provided by SHUKLA Medical. So again, a very powerful new platform they're working on, and we'll keep you posted as we develop this platform and the dedicated app in Apple's iOS App Store and also the Google's Play Store as well. Let's talk about pricing, and that's something obviously sensitive. All of us are price sensitive. The market is price sensitive. We priced this particular system very competitively, so way under the competition, way under other companies that are really taking an Atikum Berry set and really slapping on their name on it. We're still much lower than them and much more advanced than anything out there. And we'll talk about competition in near future as well. So the TL set, which is the thoracic lumbar set, which comes with the thoracic lumbar drivers, as you saw, and one instrument set, the accessory set with it, is going to be sold for $23,500, which comes at 76 drivers, which compared to the current set, which is 79 drivers, priced at $25,000. The cervical set is one cervical set with 56 drivers and one instrument set. The same instrument set is shared between them. You can buy them as cervical or buy them as TL. We also, if you look at those two numbers, when you combine them together, that's $43,500. By removing one instrument set, a OR or hospital can buy a combo set, which is one TL, one cervical, and one instrument set for $35,000. And again, that's a significant discount as well. And for those that are interested in running two ORs at the same time, that they want to buy a combo set, instead of paying $43,500, we're also going to give them about a 10%, 8% discount by purchasing the second instrument set right then and there as a combo and pay only $40,000 compared to $43,500. So all these bundle discounts are built in, and I'm sure all of you want to get discounts to your hospitals and customers, but specifically this is a brand new set. We're not going to discount it. It's already heavily discounted for pushing the combination sets as well in the bundles that we have here. Now let's talk about rental pricing. The current rental pricing for pretty much a lot of systems, unless you can charge more in your area, is typically around $1,600. And that's what it is currently for the Spine V1 of the MKS 1031. But because we're coming out with a brand new set with a lot more additions, a lot more instruments, helicopter socket, unique extensions, the four lengths that this system has, and the way you can split it up into TL and cervical, we're going to up the prices slightly, just by about a few percentage, to $2,000 instead of $1,600. And I'm sure some of you will push back and say that's too much. We don't really feel, because of such improvement in the R&D and the time that went into building these sets and the uniqueness it brings, we're justifying a higher price. They can, however, get a combined set pricing for rentals by getting one of each, one TL, one cervical, one instrument set for $2,500 if we were to do like a total spine case. So that's your rental pricing. And finally, competition. There's obviously a lot of systems out there that are trying to be a me too, but really no one really has a comprehensive set out there, maybe compared to one of them, which is Atikum Berry, who is an OEM company that companies like Medtronic and others have just put their name on it, but Atikum themselves sell it as the Evolution set. So the pricing does vary. Some sets, like Joe Baggett told us that one of the sets he was looking at competitively was selling at $54,000. I've heard they're selling it for $40,000. But if you compare the two systems, they don't even come close to what we offer in Spine V2. Just a quick comparison, just looking at the totals, the Spine V2 system has a total of unique 116 drivers, or total of 132 with some overlap between TL and cervical. And uniquely, the Atikum Berry Evolution set only has 64. Almost half of it. So it's a significant comparison. Shortly today, we will also, and maybe tomorrow, we'll upload a comparison sheet So if you go to X Drive under products and spine, you'll see all the data that we discussed today in terms of spine cell sheet, whether that's a combo set or cervical TL. You'll see surgical technique guide that's very detailed, and also a comparison sheet to TECOM Evolution. And if you ever have any of the competitor that you want to bring to our attention, please send it to us and we'll do a comparison sheet of that as well. And a little bit more detail, as I mentioned, you'll notice here there's a lot of gaps that TECOM Evolution has, and you can see those gaps with those empty spots. So again, the SHUKLA Medical set is pretty much the most comprehensive spine removal set on the planet. With that said, I'm going to feel free to please ask me.
Hey, Nitin?
Yes, sir.
Nitin, this is Kurt Johnson up in Michigan. I have
Kurt.
one customer that is interested in this could be down the road. Is there ever going to be any broken and stripped, like a couple of each size in the spine set?
Currently, there's no such plan to. There's not such a plan to do so because we have a dedicated system for it. The only system that has that exception is the mini set because of its clinical application. As you know, the Extractile Mini has only small size for the foot and ankle and small bone like hand and the CMF, broken and strip, but we currently have no plans to add it because it really takes away from our broken and strip set. Spine is a very varied sizing. You can go from like a 3/0 screw to a 7/0 screw, so it doesn't make sense for us to put all those different sizes into our spine set. It's going to add cost and really distract us from selling the spine screw V2 set. So currently there's no plans for it, but if there's, sorry, what's that? I'm sorry?
But my customers got a big hard-on about opening up another set. You said the Evolution, if you look at the comparative chart, Evolution has broken and stripped. I know they're not the same as ours. They're the Evolution. But you would like to at least see slots in the spine set so he can backfill it and use it like that.
Sure, let's discuss that offline, Kurt. I see what you're saying. The Evolution does offer that. But you also have to realize, again, I'm not trying to argue against it. That's definitely a good point. Well, let's talk about it offline. My only concern, again, is it's going to take away from our spine V2, screw V2 sales. And secondly, they don't have the amount of drivers we do. We have to also limit the weight of it. Just seriously, there's like a 22 pound or a 10 kilo weight limit. And we have to stay within it. So if we started adding all these extractors, it'll be a problem. But I do see a point if you're saying is possibly add more slots, empty slots in it. But we have to talk offline because the V2 length is much longer. It's much longer driver. It's not 4 inches, but I believe about close to 6 inches. So it's going to be a big tray redesign as well. But we can talk about it offline. Are you saying?
It actually would. I think it would actually help in increasing our broken and strip on the V2s if we could put them in there. Then they would, because they're one-time use.
Right. That is true. No, that is true. And you're saying that we put limited sizes in it. No, definitely. That's a great input, Kurt. Let's talk about it in a little more detail offline. I'll definitely record that input and circle back with you.
Okay, that's fine.
Thank you. Any other questions from the field on pricing, on the actual technicality of the system?
Can you send us that breakdown on the pricing?
Sure thing. We'll break down the pricing. We'll also have that available on Extra shortly.
You had mentioned that there's new pliers being added to the set. Is that a more robust vice grip?
It really is. The pliers are much better than it used to be. I'm trying to pull up that image real quick. Yes, I don't have a big. Actually, I can pull up the big image real quick from the surgical technique guide. The pliers used to be very flimsy compared to in the spine V1. We had a lot of feedback. Sorry, go ahead.
Weak. No, they were weak, and they literally did nothing.
Thank you. We heard you. And there's a significant difference in terms of the quality, in terms of doing more to it. We actually used it in the first case and got, rod. We also still have the rod gripper too. I'm trying to pull up the image real quick for you. I'm trying to recognize the voice. Could you please identify yourself?
Hi, this is Whitney from Source Surgical in San Francisco.
Hi, Whitney. Whitney, this is it. I don't know if you can see image right there on the screen.
Well, no, Sally and I are actually calling from my car. We're about to go do a big in-service on SHUKLA, but when you tell doctors you have a vice grip, they're thinking of something much more robust that they've traditionally seen in orthopedic applications that will go in and grab onto whatever and rip it out, and the pliers were just so weak. So if you could just inbox me that diagram, that would be great.
You got it. I'll make sure. I mean, again, it's already available on our website under the surgical technique guide. If you go straight to page 9 when you give a second, when you're not driving, Whitney. And also it's available on X-Drive too, but I can happy to send you a picture of it via text afterwards. It's much more robust. It's definitely stronger. We've definitely tested it against our current one, and you'll be much happier with it. We promise you.
Okay, awesome. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any other questions for me? And again, we'll remind you that we've already launched 30 sets. 5 of them have been shipped already for sales. Kevin Miller, again, congratulations to him for pre-selling 3 of them. We've already shipped those sets out. They should be with the customer. If not already, we'll be there shortly. They were shipped out on Monday night. We also right now have close to 10 rental sets as well. So now, instead of doing the limited launch form that we had initially on the website, it's now available under the set request form. Just a reminder to everyone that's on the line, you can not only order sets and literature from the X-Drive, we've now made it very easier for you just to go to shuklamedical.com/request page, bookmark that page for future, and you can request literature, you can request the sets for rentals, evals, and demos right from there by clicking on the link and then filling out the form. But now the S-Man Spine, the Spine V2, is available for you to order for your rental cases or otherwise for sale as well.
Hey, Nitin, this is Brad in South Dakota.
Hi, Brad.
How are you?
Good, how are you?
I'm wonderful, thank you. I have my first rental of the V2 spine tray this coming Wednesday.
That's great.
But the neurosurgeon does not allow reps in the room. And so I'm shipping everything out. It's about 400 miles from here. He did use the original spine here about 3 weeks ago and fell in love with it. All I know, it's a NuVasive system, but my question for you is, can I get X-Drive to the OR charge nurse's phone or a laptop or some device, because he does not allow reps in the room at all. And,
you mean the X-ray search engine, right? The X-Drive is the local central location of all this data. X-ray search engine, yes, you can. Brad, what I would recommend is you can go into the Google Team Drive and then go into the X-ray search engine. When you go into the X-ray search engine and open up that hyperlink, you can then, when you open in a browser, you can just share it. Like, you know how you could share a website? You could share the hyperlink just by copying it or just pressing the share button from the browser, and you can text it to them, you can email it to them. Just keep in mind, it'll expire at 3 a.m. Eastern or 12 a.m. Pacific, 24 hours. So then they could play with it the day, but then they're going to need a new link the next day. So they can type in the name of the implant and get all the compatible drivers that we offer, so it's much easier for them having to go look for it.
Okay.
I would also recommend, Brad, to get the x-rays ahead of time from them, and then you can send those x-rays to me.
Yeah, we just talked yesterday, so.
Got you. See if you can get those x-rays, because we can help identify the x-ray and figure out which implant it is, and also then tell them what driver to use, so they don't have to go anywhere.
All I know right now, it's NuVasive. That's all I know. And,
got you. As I said, please get those x-rays. You can help you in terms of how to recognize those x-rays, and then.
The OR charge is wonderful to work with, and she's working on it, so.
That's great. Keep us posted. Good luck with that.
Thank you.
Again, are there any other questions from any of you on the team? Again, regarding technicalities, x-ray search engine, helicopter sockets, sales, pricing, rentals, anything?
Hey, Nitin, James here.
Hi, James.
Are we working to something where, frankly, when someone buys the Extractol set, they're going to be able to have some kind of password access to the to X-ray? Because especially as we get more sets out there, the ability to make this a really useful tool is the ability for the surgeon or the staff to access it directly. There's just no way they're physically going to be able to call us before each case, get links before each case. You know, this happens fine during an evaluation or two, or in cases we happen to be scheduled for. But over time, this just is not going to work. You know, this becomes less useful for them.
That's a great point, James. And to answer that question, actually, we have that in works. We have hired app developers. These developers have experience in developing apps specifically for the iOS operating system, Apple operating system, and also the Android operating system as well from Google. And so we are working with them to create a dedicated app. So instead of going through Google, which is my way of, you know, with zero external cost to us, delivering these applications to you, we've proven the concept that really works. All of you that really sell SHUKLA Medical well, you know, the guys that really are helping us build the $9 million in sales we've done this year are the ones that are using it daily. And so for them, we're building a dedicated app in the near future. I can't give you a timeline just yet, but one that will have X-ray search engine, XID, you know, XDrive, all in one place. And what we'll do is we'll activate modules of it depending on who the user is, to your point, having a login. So if you, as our sales force, logs in, you'll have access to everything. If a surgeon logs in, they will be limited, not have access to XDrive or any confidential information, but they'll have the public-facing information, just the X-ray search engine, but still limiting it from competitors like Ticomet or others to try to copy our database, which I think is very valuable to us, and it's a very differentiating feature. So we are working on it. Unfortunately, I don't have a timeline for you, but it's definitely a feedback we've heard before, James, and we'll get you an app as soon as possible. That's going to be much easier than having to share the link. But till then, please continue to share the link with them.
Excellent. Great. Well, and I could see, I mean, really, if you build this up to a point, perhaps it could even be a chargeable service of some sort. So I don't know, just a thought.
That's actually very true. What we're doing actually is this surgeon who created the Facebook group called SIG, Spinal Implant Identification Group. There's over 800 plus people on it. It's just a Facebook group, and you're like, why am I Facebook? But it's really powerful in terms of just sharing data. So what's happening over there, you might have heard from me about this, is that people every 3 hours are uploading X-rays, and within minutes after that, someone else in the community of 800 plus people, there are people from OR staff, there's surgeons, there are industry reps, and there's industry, marketing managers like myself on it that are helping each other identify the X-ray. Once the X-ray is identified, they're also asking, hey, what driver should I use? And that kind of community we want to build. I'm working with Dr. Kabule, who's based out of Texas, to build this app that I discussed earlier with you, to have then our influence in it, have our name in it, and then we can keep suggesting to them, hey, by the way, that's the implant you need to take out. Guess what? SHUKLA Medical has the driver to take it out. Guess what? You can use the X-ray search engine to find out what that is. So that's going to be extremely powerful, extremely differentiating tool. But again, it's going to take some time to develop it and make it live for all of you. We'll probably start with a web app and then make it a dedicated operating system app, such as for iOS, Apple, and Google Play Store.
Excellent.
All right. Are there any other questions? Okay. Well, if there's not any questions, you can always still call, text, or email me or the customer service. Please feel free to reach out to us. Thank you again for your time, and I hope good luck to all of you in selling the brand new Spine V2 system. Thanks again, and talk to you soon. Take care.